One of the great all-time Charlotte Hornets, one of the favorites in NBA history, and one of the best, Muggsy Bogues. How cool to have him on the Patrick Johnson show here. It's great to talk to you. Thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it, man.
Oh, I really appreciate you having me on this morning. Thanks a lot.
Let's get into well, the big reason, the North Carolina Sports Hall of Fame. That happened for you as far as the actual enshrinement earlier in the year. So it was, I knew at some point in the summer we wanted to talk to you about that. And if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I guess you were inducted or up, nominated to be inducted for the 21 class, and then COVID and all that. So this was the actual enshrinement this year. So do I have that part of the story right?
You have it absolutely correct. I wasn't inducted, well, I was a member in 2021 because of COVID. They weren't able to go along with it, and we was able to have it, the actual ceremony, the induction in 2022 in April, which was awesome. I mean, it was an unbelievable atmosphere. I'm truly honored and thankful to be able to, be put in conversation as some of the greatest that's ever done this, and to be able, even not born in North Carolina, but most of my entire adult life has been spent in North Carolina. So I'm so thankful that they recognized that and gave me an opportunity to be part of some of the greatest people that ever, not only just played the game, but just all the great things they've done in their careers, sportscasters as well as doctors and so forth.
Yeah, look, I know you're a Baltimorean originally, but you're a North Carolina guy now. You've been here long enough. You're a
yes.
I know. Yeah. I know what you're not. You're not someone from Toronto. That always when they sent you up. When they sent you up there, the great Muggsy Bogues is with us. Because of COVID, do you feel like was there a greater appreciation for that night back in April, just because of everything that had been so weird the last 2 years?
Yeah, it was. I mean, just to be able to gather, getting in a room with folks where you didn't have to have a mask on to be conscious of anybody breathing and that sort of thing. I mean, it was just a good feeling to just be back to that human social feeling that you love to encounter with, and being able to have that type of experience. It was warranted, and it was definitely deserving. So it was so good just to be able to, see some of the old friends that I even went to school with, some of the coaches that coached me and taught me and mentored me. Just seeing a lot of little old faces brought back a lot of memories.
Muggsy Bogues with us here. I was remiss in asking, are you in Charlotte still? You're out there, aren't you?
Still in Charlotte. Still in North Carolina.
That's home, baby. Charlotte.
It is.
I was a fanatical NBA fan growing up, and I started out as a Celtics fan, and about the time that I really got into the Celtics, they were breaking down with Bird and McHale and the Chief, who was still playing, but Bird and McHale were breaking down, and the tragic death of Reggie Lewis, another guy from kind of the neck of the woods where you were from up north. But the Hornets came along, and there was Del Curry, and there was LJ, and there was Zoe, and then there was Muggsy Bogues and Johnny Newman, and even a little bit of G-Man sprinkled in there. I kind of left the Celtics because they started to not win, and I caught the Hornets. Even in Eastern North Carolina, I just caught the bug, if you will, pardon the pun, of the Hornets. It was like a college environment. I mean, you played in the ACC, so it was like a college environment in a lot of ways.
It truly was. I mean, you got to understand where Carolina, I mean, the history behind Carolina basketball is all about collegiate basketball. All the Big Four, Wake Forest, you got Duke, Carolina State. So, that always been such a big rivalry for so long, and college basketball has been so big and huge in the state of North Carolina with all those great teams. And being able to now be afforded a professional team, which was very young, new, still not knowing anything about the professional rankings of the teams. So they had that energized, that collegiate enthusiasm type of support that we were so overwhelmed with. We led the lead in attendance for 9 straight years. 24,000 fans came and supported us night in and night out. I mean, I remember the very first game we lost against Cleveland Cavaliers. We had the men dressed in tuxedos, the women in their gowns. And they had the powerhouse of Brad Daugherty, Mark Price, and Ron Harper, and guys like that. But we wound up losing by 40 points that night. And but the place was electrifying. But when we walked off the court and the entire crowd stood up and gave us a standing ovation, we knew this was a very special place. And from then on, things have been working out well for me and for that organization since then.
You had played in the NBA a little bit with the Bullets at the time.
Yes.
Right? And there was the infamous photo which shows up now on social media of you and Manute Ball standing beside each other and all of that. So you'd kind of you realize what the league was about. You realize that it is a business and that being on the road sounds glamorous, but especially in those days the travel was a little tougher maybe than it is now. Would it be fair to say that the Charlotte experience, I'm not saying you didn't love basketball, but did it kind of invoke some different emotions about the pro game for you, even just with the way that the city embraced the team?
Well, knowing how passionate we were about basketball in the state of North Carolina, and then having the opportunity to get I should say 1 year of experience in the NBA and learn the business side of it as well as the game itself, and then coming to Charlotte. And as I say, by the fans just being that enthused about the game of collegiate, and then now thrust upon to be, having a professional team and being that type of support. I mean, that's the experience that I understood, and that's something that I knew that we was all growing together. They was all learning on the fly as well. Winning carries a lot of things, and early on we wasn't doing that, especially the beginning, our first couple of years. But that third year, but it was always exciting, the way we competed. But that third year is when everything started to change, and it's mainly because of the draft pick we were starting to acquire and better players. And then all of a sudden, Alonzo and then the Larry Johnsons came along, and then that put us on a different stage. And then I think the fans grew with that as well. They understood how we were starting to grow, how we were starting to win, and that support just started to feel real genuine, and it seemed like it was a partnership going forward.
The legendary Muggsy Bogues, MuggsyBogues.com. He's got camps coming up for youth in the Charlotte area. What are the dates for that, Muggsy? Obviously you can go to the website to learn more, but if there's somebody who wants to just have, I would think for their kid, even in our neck of the woods, like a once in a lifetime, really cool experience at a basketball camp coming up in August. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we have our August back to school basketball camp that we was able to now start up this year because post COVID. We shut it down 2 years. We tried it early on in summer to just give it a test to see what it would look like. We cut it down to 60 kids, and it turned out to be absolutely wonderful. The kids had a great experience as well as the coaching staff. And it's more like a self-esteem camp. We want to build one's self-esteem moving forward. I don't care about the skill set really at the high. The skill set is not at the forefront. It's more about building one's self-esteem, and we're able to do that with any kid moving forward. We feel like we've done our job, and we got one August the 8th through the 12th at Cruz Recreation Center in Matthews. You can go to MuggsyBogues.com and find out where you can sign up at as well. And it's always been a great great camp for us, being able to lead into going back to school, because we want every kid to feel comfortable and confident when they get into that classroom, regardless of if it's basketball or not. Because one thing about my camp is, as I said earlier, it's more about one's self-esteem.
Muggsy Bogues is with us here. I want to go back to Baltimore, Dunbar, and how you wound up at Wake Forest. Well, let's go back all the way to just getting involved in basketball. As a fellow vertically challenged baller as a young man, I was always said I was the power forward in John Bagley's body. Short and overweight, but I had the power game. Obviously my NBA dreams dashed at a very early age, but you stuck with it. Obviously a very talented player, but the height comes up, and how many times were you told no about basketball to play at the level you wanted to play at?
Oh, every turn that I could look, everywhere I went, every time I tried, why are you doing this? No, you're too small, all that. And again, I was challenged like you as well. In terms,
No, I had a lot more challenges.
but I had to learn some of them skill sets in order to overcome some of the things that was coming my way. And I felt like, my skill, my confidence, and where I played the game and how I impacted will eventually, wear on some folks. And if you play the game the right way and you understand the position that you play in, you're able to move and able to, become a little more successful in that particular area. And point guard was my position, and I understood what that position all called for, and what the more what type of elements that need to be provided to be able to play that position, regardless of your height, and being able to run a team, making guys around you better, at the same time being an extension of a coach, allowed me to be that player and kept me on the floor for a long time.
And then how'd you wind up at Wake Forest? I don't know if we've ever talked about this before, and I've talked to you, but how did all that come up?
Well, being recruited, I was recruited pretty heavily from Virginia, Seton Hall, Wake Forest came along. But I think when I took my visit, even though I knew nothing about Carolina at the time, I knew nothing about Wake Forest, Winston-Salem. But when I went on my visit, my mind was blown, because it was the opposite where I came from. Right. And that's probably what it was. It was the opposite. It seemed like a safe haven as well, a small town, a small school, an opportunity that really fits the needs of what I'm trying to accomplish. Academically, it would be challenging for me, which I needed it. And then the situation, being able to have an opportunity my sophomore year to become that starter, playing behind Danny Young my first year, who was a senior, learning from him. So all the things kind of lined up for me, and thankful that, I saw that and envisioned it, and it all worked out in my favor. And I'm so grateful for that.
You can follow Muggsy Bogues on Twitter at Muggsy Bogues, MuggsyBogues.com. He's got his basketball camps coming up. And if you wanted to take part in something that I think is really, really cool in the beginning part of August, that might be something that would be a lot of fun for kids to do. Even in our area, everybody wants to take a trip. And, if you're maybe a little challenged with your finances in these days and times, maybe a staycation out to the Charlotte area and sending your kids off to that camp might be a cool idea. We've got Muggsy with us here on the Patrick Johnson Show. It's real great to have him here. So you go to Wake Forest, you're heavily recruited, you build your way up, and you end up having a great ACC career. Were you thinking NBA automatically, or because again, you were told that infamous word no when it came to the NBA dreams?
Yeah, well, I was told low at each level. Elementary school, we didn't have middle school, junior high school, all the way up to college. And of course, you knew you was going to hear that when you're trying to pursue an NBA career. And that was something that always stuck in the back of my mind, and just for a little bit. But I always believed in myself. I always knew the things that I was capable of doing, and I felt like if I focused more on that and continue to be success, and I always had the mindset, if I played against the best, if I had success against the best, I must be included with the best. And having that mindset allowed me to keep climbing the ladders and put me on the stage and put me on a platform that where the people who make those decisions in terms of the NBA and saying what type of skill set that I possess, that they will see I am capable, regardless of my size, the impact that he has on that floor. That's what it all matters. And me having that understanding and always having that understanding, I felt like I was going to break down those barriers eventually.
Well, you did. And, I think, again, we talk about kind of that love affair that North Carolina had with the Hornets. And, it just seemed to me when you got traded and when Del Curry got traded, those were the two, and I know the Larry Johnson and particularly the Alonzo Mourning free agency things probably had a lot to do. But to me, the heart of the Hornets kind of went away or that original Hornets went away when you got traded and when Del Curry got traded. When you, it had to be a bummer for you, I have to imagine. Again, we know it's a business.
Yes.
But it had to be a bummer for you. Absolutely.
That was the second time I was told something that I would be part of an organization, and it was no longer the case. It happened when I was with Washington Bullets my first year before I left, and they told me that, Muggsy, we're going to build players around you to fit your stature and your style of play. And then when I was with the Hornets, George Shannon and Dell, we was told that we'll be part of this organization, until our grandkids, decide to retire. So having that feeling and thinking that you're going to be part of the organization for the entire life, it felt really a sting when they decided to trade you. Again, as you alluded to, we had a long run for 9 straight years of sellout. And I remember when I left that year to go to Golden State, and the Hornets still made the playoffs that year. But unfortunately, the fans wasn't there with them. They had to black out the top and everything and all that sort of stuff in terms of, because of the disappointment. And we felt like we were the heart and soul of that team in terms of what we meant to the community as well as the organization. But as again, that's the ugly head of the NBA will show his time anytime he wants to show his head. So
Toronto's a magnificent city, but this wasn't the World Championship Raptors that you got that you got hooked up with. You got to reunite with Del Curry. But how'd you like Toronto? How'd you like Canada?
Oh, I love Toronto. I love Toronto. It was a different time in my career. At the end of it, kind of winding down when I left Golden State. But I think playing alongside with Tracy McGrady, Vince Carter, Charles Oakley, Anthony Davis, and those guys, Kevin Willis. I mean, that was felt like the old Hornets again. Mainly veterans mixed with younger players in that regards, and now we became the veterans as opposed to the younger players. And then and playing with Vince and Tracy, putting that franchise on the map. I mean, the very first year we was able to make the playoff, and I think that was the beginning of their culture, where how they was able to continue to manifest from then on. But it's always about establishing a culture, and then when you got players that can come in and give you that, that's where it all starts. And I think Toronto, they really appreciate that. That's one of the reasons why they continue to still recognize that 2000 team, even though we didn't win, but the way we came in and how we changed the entire culture, it allowed us to be able to, looked upon as a really good organization at the time, and being able to connect with Dell again, that was our 11th year with one another.
Muggsy Bogues, North Carolina Sports Hall of Famer. So just a few kind of quick hits here to wrap things up. And I appreciate your time greatly. It's been so cool to speak to you. Quick hit here on when you went out and shot the Curb Your Enthusiasm. This is the section that's not for the kids. It's one of the funnier episodes. How cool was that experience for you, though? I mean, because that's not a script per se. That's an outline. How did they sell you on the idea, and did you kind of get the joke immediately?
Yeah. I told them they had the right guy for the part for sure. But I had so much fun on the show. Larry and
Richard Lewis, yeah,
Richard Lewis, yeah. Cox had a little block there. They had me laughing the entire time. They had me laughing because of the humorous that they have within themselves. I just had a really relaxed, enjoyable time, and they just gave me the storyline and told me go for it. And when I was on the set, just being in that same circle with Larry David and Richard Lewis, it was just a hoot, man. I'm just so thankful to have that opportunity.
I think it's the funniest show on TV, even still. And then you were on SNL. I mean, that was a different kind of energy, I have to imagine, compared to Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah, the big, tall black man store. I had my big suit on. Yeah. Charles did a great job hosting that show that time. I mean, being on the stage with Ricky Smile, the old former senator, Al Franken. Yeah. And it was just a good, we got a chance to meet Nirvana, RuPaul on that show at the time, which was really exciting for me. I mean, because again, I never knew Kid from the Projects wound up on SNL.
Yeah. No, it was cool. And look, Chuck, fabulous on TV, and that was the beginning of all that kind of him being a huge TV star. All right, now to some of the quick hit stuff. Favorite teammate?
Too many. That's you put me on the spot. I got too many. I got from the Del Curry to Larry Johnson to the late Moses Malone. LJ continues.
Yeah. Your favorite NBA other than Charlotte, your favorite NBA city?
Toronto.
Okay, that's a good one.
Toronto was.
We can pick it up there. Were you a trash talking kind of guy?
No, I wasn't a trash talking guy.
Okay.
But I grew up around that. That's just the way we played.
Yeah. All right. So who was the biggest junk talker? Who talked the most trash?
In my position, that's very easy. Gary Payton.
Okay. All right. Did you ever fire back though?
Oh yeah, of course we fire back. That's just the way we are.
Who was the guy that you knew it was going to be a long night, no matter what you did?
I didn't have that player.
Okay.
I didn't have that player because everybody was a little different from me.
Right.
Skill was all about the skill set. But
But
I just say, man, maybe it's just say Magic. Just say Magic.
Oh wow, yeah, that had to be pretty cool though.
Yeah. I just say, man, yeah.
Yeah. All right. What was the game that you knew you were? I mean, do you remember the performance where it was just your night? You could do no wrong that night.
Oh gosh, had quite a few games like that. And it didn't always have to do about scoring.
Right.
It was about just controlling the game itself, and we still won by 20. Gosh, I remember a game against Phoenix. We played. That was a good one. Another one against the Lakers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was another good one.
If you had a modern day player that you really like, in the current NBA, who might be the guy that you'd pay your money to go watch?
That's easy. It's Steph Curry.
Yeah.
He's that's just like a little nephew to me. So that's easy for me.
I got you. MuggsyBogues.com is where you can go. He's got his basketball camps coming up, and he is one of the great ambassadors for the city of Charlotte and for the game of basketball, sports Hall of Famer, and just an all-around great guy. This was so much fun. Thank you so much for taking some time with us here, and continued success with everything.
Thank you. I really appreciate you having me on. And people also could go pick up my memoir, The Muggsy Bogues, My Life from the Projects to the Godfather of Small Ball on Amazon.com.
I like that. Excellent. Thanks for getting that plug in. And again, MuggsyBogues.com for everything there in Muggsy's memoir at Amazon. Thank you so much. It was great to talk to you, and thank Brittany for setting this up for us as well.
All right, partner. Have a good one.